Fruits Basket is a breathtaking series that has been around for decades. The Fruits Basket manga ran from 1998 to 2006, and the original anime debuted in 2001, but since it diverged from the manga, it didn't last more than one season. Thankfully, in 2019, the anime got a reboot that adhered to the manga's storyline. That new anime just concluded a week ago, after 63 stunning episodes. To celebrate the magnificence of the now completed 2019 to 2021 anime reboot, I'm going to be talking about why I think that Fruits Basket represents peak shoujo anime. In case anyone is unfamiliar with the term shoujo, shoujo literally means young lady or girl in Japanese, and shoujo anime is typically marketed towards girls, but of course anyone can watch it, and I recommend that all people do. While a lot of shoujo anime is romance-based, not all is, and the key differentiating feature between shonen, or boy-marketed anime, and shoujo is that shoujo anime usually revolves around character development, whereas shonen is more plot-based. Because of this, in shoujo anime, the plot usually exists to develop the characters, whereas in shonen anime, characters more so exist to drive the plot. Of course, there is also a ton of character development in shonen, but there is much more of a plot focus in shonen and more of a character focus in shoujo. Now that the definition of shoujo is out of the way, I'm going to get into why Fruits Basket represents peak shoujo. On the surface, Fruits Basket is an anime about Toru Honda, a recently orphaned high schooler who befriends members of the Soma clan, some of whom can turn into one of the 12 zodiac animals, or the zodiac cat, when they get hugged by someone of the opposite sex. While this concept seems light and almost comedic, the show is anything but that. Every single character in the show is grappling with something, and their complex struggles are brought to the surface through their interactions with the main character, Toru. Even if a character may seem like a reiteration of a generic trope when they are first introduced, it is quickly revealed that they are not, and that they are actually a complex individual with diverse and oftentimes tragic pasts. The characters are at the core of Fruits Basket, and they are what make the anime so incredibly special. The show gracefully tackles the complexity of trauma and the different ways in which it can manifest in those who have experienced it. At first glance, the main character, Toru, seems almost too perfect, yet as the story progresses, the viewer begins to understand that kindness is actually Toru's way of dealing with the distressing events she's been through and her grief at her family's death. To be completely honest, when I watched the first episode of Fruits Basket, I almost dropped the show because I thought that Toru was going to be a two-dimensional character. She seemed almost too perfect, and I consequently thought that I wouldn't be able to relate with her at all. However, as the first season progressed, I quickly realized that this is not the case. Toru puts others before herself to an almost dangerous degree, and her extreme kindness is actually a manifestation of how little she regards herself. The reason why she is able to connect with all the members of the Zodiac is because she's able to empathize with their experiences, yet she also uses their trauma to avoid facing her own. In this way, Toru went from being a character I thought I would have to tolerate in the first episode to being one of my favorite protagonists of all time. By the end of the series, it's impossible to not want to protect Toru, and I will personally defend her from anyone who tries attacking her. Toru is an extremely nice character that I aspire to be more like, yet her kindness doesn't make her an unattainable ideal since she is also flawed and scarred. From this point onward, there are going to be some minor spoilers, but what makes Fruits Basket so incredibly special, beyond just its wonderful protagonist, is that it showcases how people react differently to traumatic experiences. These diverse expressions of trauma are seen through almost every member of the Zodiac. Hatori, the Dragon Zodiac, had given up on happiness and believed that he was no longer worthy of love after his relationship with Kana mentally broke her. Momoji hides the pain of being estranged from his family under a bubbly facade, and his childish demeanor is a reflection of how he didn't have proper parental supervision growing up. Rin believes she can't rely on anyone, is unworthy of love, and will taint those she's around because of the horrific things her parents told her about being unwanted. Hatsuharu deals with his emotions by splitting his personality into two and locking the negative emotions into his dark Haru persona. In case you are watching this to determine whether or not to watch Fruits Basket, I won't spoil the trauma from all the Zodiac members, but just know that Kyo and Yuki's development is amazing beyond words. The way in which the Zodiac characters deal with their emotions is also often, but not always, a reflection of their Zodiac animal, which is another amazing aspect of the show. Hatsuharu is as stubborn as an ox when dealing with people, and he is unwilling to let Rin go even when she tries pushing him away. In contrast, Rin's first instinct is to run when she is feeling emotionally vulnerable, much like a horse is quick to flee from uncertain situations. When Kagura feels rejected or hurt, she reacts with physical violence and often charges full force, which is very reminiscent of a boar. Finally, Kyo can get kind of catty when defensive, and Momoji disguises his trauma under a bubbly, bunny-like facade. The way in which the premise of the show itself is used to develop most of the characters is a major reason why I think that Fruits Basket is peak shoujo. The show itself is structured to maximize character development, and the plot does not diverge from this original premise, which makes the series so cohesive and enjoyable to watch. Even the supporting non-Zodiac characters are amazing. Hanajima is a refreshing take on a goth-style character, and her backstory was probably my favorite out of any character in the entire series. Seeing her struggle with her rave reading abilities, but then eventually learn to use them to her advantage after she finally gained true friends was honestly just amazing writing. Although Hanajima is a deep character, she also brings a lot of humor to the show, and their class rendition of the play Cinderella was absolutely hilarious. Machi also has a fantastic character arc, but since that occurs way later in the series, I won't get into that. While I enjoyed Season 1 of Fruits Basket immensely, I think Fruits Basket Season 2 shone even brighter. At this point in the show, most of the Zodiac members, minus Rin and Kuruno, had been introduced, so the story spent more time developing characters than introducing them. The insecurities and trauma brought up in the first season started being healed in the second, and Yuki's development in particular is a highlight, as he faces his insecurities by becoming student council president. Season 3 of Fruits Basket is a masterpiece, and the series had one of the best finales I have ever seen. It's extremely hard to wrap up such an extensive storyline, but Fruits Basket did an amazing job without overindulging the viewer. Overall, Fruits Basket is an amazing series that represents peak shoujo writing. Every single character gets their own spotlight and development that the premise of the show and the main character Toru facilitate. While it was sad seeing Fruits Basket end a few weeks ago, the show was an amazing journey, and the series will always have a special place in my heart. If you haven't watched Fruits Basket, please consider watching it. I promise you that you won't regret it. Well, that's it for this video. Please like, subscribe, and comment if you liked the video. Also, please consider supporting me on Ko-fi. Link is in the description below.